You know, there was a time when we actually enjoyed music. No one was rushing to check the first week sales, and no one was debating stream counts, and no one cared about whether their favorite artist won the charts. People liked what they liked. Simple. But somewhere along the line, that changed. The rise of social media, and more specifically, the rise of number based discourse, largely pushed by platforms like Akadidi, shifted the focus from artists to analytics. What started as a way to document hip hop's success in the streaming era has now turned into a toxic competition where fans use numbers as weapons in online debates instead of actually discussing the music. It's no longer about impact or cultural influence, it's about who sold more, who debuted at number one, and who has the biggest streaming day. The actual quality of the music? That's secondary. The numbers obsession now affects artists just as much as it affects the fan conversation. In the past, sales mattered primarily to labels who used them to measure commercial success. But now, artists feel direct pressure to prove their relevance with numbers. No one wants to be labeled as a flop or be accused of falling off.
Do you like when blogs tweet your album sales?
Nah, I think it's stupid. It's just the time that we in. Cause one, sometimes they be wrong, right? Last time they said I did 19K, but I did like 25K. But I'm not finna tweet and be like, man, y'all got me wrong. I ain't do 20,000 first week. I did 25,000 first week. You know, I ain't finna do that because it is what it is. But and I just care more about my hard ticket sales. And I feel like a first week sale doesn't truly like represent like where artists stands. Because there's artists that do 4 times the first week numbers that I do, but can't sell out the venues that I'm doing. So I much rather sell out the venues when I do a show, when I do a tour, and them things selling out versus a big first week number, but I'll take them both.
So instead of focusing on crafting something meaningful, many people just opt for safe music, repeating formulas that have already worked rather than pushing boundaries. This wasn't always the case though. Some of the greatest albums in hip-hop history didn't have massive first week sales. Illmatic, arguably one of the most influential rap albums of all time, only sold 63,000 copies in its first week. If Nas had dropped that album in today's climate, social media would have clowned him for flopping, and he might have been pressured into making more radio-friendly music instead of the classics that we got. But sales didn't define Illmatic, its impact did. On the other hand, we have albums like Lil Baby's Wham, which did respectable numbers but left little to no impact on the culture. The conversation around it was more about what happened to Lil Baby and, oh, did he beat the fall off allegations, rather than anything about the music itself. This shows the flaw in the numbers argument. High sales don't automatically mean a project is meaningful, and low sales don't mean an album isn't great. So, do sales even matter? Beyond the artistic conversation, there's another issue. Sales figures aren't even real. They're manipulated. Labels have long been accused of inflating numbers through tactics like bundling, playlisting advantages, and outright just buying streams. If an artist team can boost sales artificially, then what do these numbers really represent? Drake's recent lawsuit is bringing this conversation to light in a way we haven't seen before. If he wins, it could expose just how many tricks labels use to inflate sales. The funniest part though, his fan base, which has spent years bragging about his chart dominance, is now crying foul when those same tactics are allegedly being used against him. The GNX and Not Like Us situation by Kendrick Lamar was a humbling moment. Suddenly, Drake fans wanted to call out industry tricks when he was the one that was benefiting from these same tricks allegedly for years. This hypocrisy proves that numbers only matter to people when they serve their argument. The real issue isn't even just the numbers though, it's the culture that surrounds them. We now have a generation of fans who think they work for Billboard. Instead of talking about what makes an album good, they break down the streaming algorithms and talk about label marketing strategies. This discourse is being driven by people who care more about winning than listening. And it's crazy because for years, Drake fans have been the loudest voices in pushing the obsession with first week sales in hip hop, also when it comes to streaming dominance and even Billboard placements, treating numbers as the ultimate measure of success. But now with Kendrick's GNX outperforming Some Sexy Songs for You, those same fans are suddenly crying foul, accusing Kendrick of using the same industry tactics Drake has benefited from for over a decade. The irony is wild. After defending playlisting, bundles, and algorithmic boosts when it suited them, they're now scrambling for excuses, trying to discredit numbers they once worshipped, exposing how hollow this numbers first mentality really is when it doesn't work in their favor. We got Drake fans crashing out in real time right now because Luther is the #1 streaming song on Billboard and not a song from Some Sexy Songs for You. We got Drake fans threatening to people. Mind you, this person literally is cosplaying a woman. I'm pretty sure it's a man, but they printed out a Kendrick fan's photo and put their gun, which is probably fake, on the photo to say, I'm gonna take you out. And this is just simply over the fact that Luther, a Kendrick Lamar song, went #1 and not a song from Drake's recent project. This is where we are at, people. The numbers talk has gotten so poisonous that people are threatening to kill other people in other fan bases just because the artist that they don't like is streaming more than the artist they prefer. This is a sickness. Now, I do believe that we can celebrate an artist's success in a healthy way. Kendrick is breaking all types of records right now. When records are broken, by all means, we should all be happy if it's an artist that we like. But we shouldn't use those same metrics to prove why this artist is better, because every day you will find that these accounts will post conflicting and contradictive stats. For example, a lot of people follow these pages. They will actually post Kendrick's recent records because there's a new record being broken every day. But then after that, you'll find 2 to 3 tweets that purposely, and this is almost every single time you can find it on every chart page, they will tweet a Kendrick stat and then the next 2 tweets will be Drake stats. And then if you go in the comments of each, you'll see the Kendrick fans obviously happy about Kendrick performing well. But if you go into the other comments, you'll see the Drake fans now using that as a comment and a one-up on why Drake is better than Kendrick. But then an hour later, you'll see Kendrick breaks another record, and then the Kendrick fans come in and say, yeah, Kendrick is better, blah, 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 this and that. And this is how the discourse starts. The pages are doing this for engagement farming because they know you're going to click and brag about your favorite artist. But if you go into the comment section of any of these chart pages, you'll see comments of why who is better based on the numbers, and nothing is being discussed about the music. Now, I know Kendrick's side, a lot of the new fans, I should say, are definitely taking a page from Drake fans' book, which I do not agree with. At the end of the day, I don't care about numbers. It does not matter to me. To Pimp a Butterfly could have sold 2,000 first week, and I would still think it's the best hip-hop album of all time, because it is my favorite hip-hop album of all time. I do love seeing my favorite artist break records, but at the same time, I'm not going to use that to say he's better than this person for this reason because they have numbers like this. It doesn't make any sense because just give it 30 minutes and the page will tweet another stat that contradicts what you're trying to say. This proves that this whole argument is endless. It's pointless and it's poisonous. And it's going to be very interesting to see how they spin this whole narrative of him still being suppressed, but breaking records at the same time. So the Drake fans have to really decide what side of the argument they're going to fall on, how they justify all the things that are going to be coming out about this lawsuit in whatever direction it goes in, because either way, it just proves how pointless the numbers argument really is.
Someone let me know why I'm supposed to care about first week sales or how many units something sells. I'm confused. What happened to quality over quantity? I honestly feel like because of the streaming era, we have now made it a rule that if artists are not pumping out albums every 2 years, they've either fell off or they're not going to receive the amount of streams that they should be receiving, and that automatically disqualifies them as a good artist. Huh? I don't know about y'all, but I don't want to listen to bad music. I don't. I'm tired of the 25 plus song albums that should have stayed in the vault. And what's crazy is I don't even blame the artist, I blame y'all. I saw someone say that we need to be listening to albums on loop overnight just to boost their streaming. And then you're gonna come around and tell me I'm supposed to care about first week sales? Okay, my point with this is all to say we need to start allowing artists time to create quality art. Some of the best albums I've listened to have decade spans in between their first and second release. And particularly, we need to stop judging albums based on, oh, everybody's listening to it, so it must be good. And if you actually rock with the music, did it tell a story? What's the substance? Is the quality of music good? So let's please all bring back quality in art forms.
Music isn't supposed to be a scoreboard. Some of the greatest albums of all time weren't commercial hits when they dropped. Some of today's biggest streaming artists make music that will be forgotten in a year. But people are so obsessed with tracking numbers that they don't realize how empty the conversation has become. Maybe it's time Billboard stops reporting sales to the public altogether, because as long as numbers keep dictating the culture, the music will suffer.